aggressive one in this particular matchup because he has Sunburn and he has the Rancors to push things through. But you know, Sai looks like he has some tools to be able to deal with that. You know, I think the unsummons are probably going to be pretty good, and having the rapid hybridizations to be able to go ahead and, you know, get rid of, to undie one of your creatures and create a blocker is potentially a way that he's going to be able to get an advantage in here. So I expect that Aaron's the beatdown in this, and Sai is going to be the control on it.
All right, so we see Sai keeping on a 6-card hand. Aaron on the play, turn 1 Stromkirk Noble. And remember, with this red-green aggro deck, you just see you see some of the most explosive starts. It's not Naya Blitz explosive, but it's close. And yeah, a top land in play for Sai Cook. So he's going to basically, the moment Sai stabilizes will be when the game's over, if that ever happens.
All right, so we're going to send in with the Ash Zealot that we just cast and a and the Noble. Yep, so we get counter.
So 3 damage in.
Yep.
Yeah, and apparently Jerry Thompson was aware of Sai's deck, and he told us about this one beforehand. So I'm not sure if he worked on him with it or just was aware of the deck. But unfortunately, a Shockland comes into play for Sai. It's gonna remember that 2 damage, very relevant off it.
Yeah.
He must have just drawn it, because otherwise he based on how he sequenced the lands. Yeah.
But so now he has Strangleroot Geist, which is going to be a good blocker for the Noble.
Yep, and so he said block the Noble, and yeah it's going to
get a good Skorkland, which is going to keep the Noble alive, and it's also going to trample through for damage, so it's going to get a counter, which is just going to put Sai deeper and deeper in the hole.
Right.
You know, he's going to have the opportunity to try to make the same play next turn, blocking the Stromkirk Noble with the now 3/2 Strangleroot Geist. But if Aaron has like a
only have 2
burn spell,
yeah.
Yep. And we have another
Rakdos
card at the
Cackler.
bottom, Rakdos Cackler. Okay.
And then we see a Searing Spear, Lightning Mauler in Aaron Crossett's hand. I mean, this is the scary part. It's turn 3 for Sai, and he's at 8.
Yeah. So
he's probably just dead. He's at a virtual 5. You know, and I remember when we were testing, the red-green aggro deck can be fairly difficult to test again. It really pushes a lot of other decks out of the format. Just because you get situations like this, which are ludicrous, and this is a fairly average draw from the red deck as well.
So it looks like Sai's going to play Experiment 1, and he's going to leave up mana for the Celestia Charm in his hand. So, you know, he gets to chump and hopefully trade the Strangleroot Geist for the Stromkirk Noble.
Yeah, here's where things get really scary.
So we have Burning Tree Emissary into Lightning Mauler pairing. So we just added 4 hasty power to the board.
And a difficult 4 to block on top of that.
Yeah. It looks like we're holding up in response to the Lightning Mauler. Okay, so we have the Spell Rupture to try to counter the Lightning Mauler. It's going to require Aaron to pay 3, and he declines. So we don't add the 4 hasty damage, but we do still have, you know, 7 damage swinging in, which Sai is not going to have terribly good blocks for. He's going to be able to take out the Stromkirk Noble, but he's going to, you know, go down to 6 and lose a creature, and, you know, Aaron's still going to have a bunch of 2/2s.
I mean, Aaron has a Searing Spear in his hand, which I believe is lethal, right?
Yeah. 1 away from
One away,
lethal.
we're at
yeah,
4.
So Sai is now at 4, and, you know, he chose not to chump, which is a reasonable choice because he's going to be able to turn the Experiment 1. So he's got a Young Wolf.
Yeah, but he doesn't have enough block right now. I mean, he's dead to the Searing Spear as it looks on the board. Okay, so he has the Celestia Charm to
so he's got a Celestia Charm to evolve, to make a blocker, to be able to trade with 2 of the guys and chump the Ash Zealot. And then he's going to get to undie his Young Wolf. So we're still alive on Sai's side, but we're not doing terribly well. We're not stable. We're far from stable.
Right. Young Wolf comes back as a 2/2, so we're close, and we see a Searing Spear and a Hell Rider across its hand. The Howl Rider is almost certainly lethal. I mean, that actually is 4 points of burn. You know, you might see Aaron end step, if Sai taps out, you might see Aaron end step a Searing Spear in his face.
Do you think there's any value just main phasing it there? You know he has spell
probably.
crumbles.
If you're committed to the play, you probably just main phase it.
All right, so we have the end step from Aaron for the Searing Spear going upstairs.
Yeah, he's putting it at the face so that if he draws a land, he just has Sai dead. It doesn't.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have the chump of the Ash Zealot, and we have another creature from Aaron, and Sai packs it up after drawing a irrelevant Cloudfin Raptor. So, like we were talking about before, you know, Aaron really is the beatdown here, and you know, being on the play there was incredibly important for him. Sai had sort of, you know, Sai mulliganed to 6 and had kind of an awkward draw. He had to take damage off of his second land. He, you know, had tap lands to start with. He didn't have a 1-drop. He just didn't have an opportunity to stabilize at a sufficiently high life total.
No. What I do like about Sai Cook's deck is that it's somewhat prepared to deal with the red-green aggro nut draws. Young Wolf, especially when Sai's on the play, Young Wolf's actually a pretty legitimate card against the deck. It really is a shutdown defender for Stormkirk Noble. It also interacts nicely with Lightning Mauler. And when you know very much you'll get life gain out of it, and you'll probably be able to get a trade off it. So it's, you know, it'll trade and gain you 3 life, which is good.
Yeah, and Strangleroot Geist is probably similar in that way.
Exactly.
You know, as long as the mana isn't problematic to get into play on turn 2, being able to block twice.
The difficulty for the deck is that Sai is going to have trouble turning the corner. You know, as we saw there, Sai was just, you know, definitely was just on defense, and eventually he needs to take this point where he turns the corner and turns defense into offense, and his deck's not very prepared to do that because he doesn't have a big late game threat. His only late game threat is Geist of St. Traft, which can actually be answered, you know, by really things as simple as an Ash Zealot can be really problematic. So where most decks would have, you know, a Thrag Tusk to slam down a green deck, for example, and then suddenly, you know, and then they transition from being the defender to the attacker. Sai, it takes a lot more work for him to do that.
So, and Sai's game plan in most games is going to be get down a early 1-drop, 2-drop, and then tempo.
Right, he normally wants to be the aggro, which is really unreasonable in this matchup.
So, looking at the sideboard, Aaron has a couple things that I think he's going to bring in. He's definitely going to bring in the Pillar of Flame. He saw 2 Undying creatures there. It's just like slam dunk. And I think he's probably going to bring in these Gruul Charms as well, just as a falter effect.
The Gruul Charms can be fine. He hasn't seen, I mean, it depends if he could suspect Cloudfin Raptors and bring them in for that. Yeah, Gruul Charm can help push some extra damage, but his creatures are already pretty well positioned just to turn sideways. If I were him, I wouldn't want to mess with a good thing too much, I guess. I'm not sure I would bring in anything outside of the Pillar of Flames. His other options are, you know, Volcanic Strength, Skull Crack, Termite Script, Thunderbolt. I don't think any of those are reasonable.
So when I look at his deck, I say to myself, I don't really like these Boros Reckoners in the main deck. They don't seem like they are going to match up particularly well, and so I'm inclined to want to lower my curve a little bit and take those out. And so that's where I'm looking and bringing in the Pillar of Flame. I mean, like, I definitely want the Pillar of Flames, and it feels to me like the Gruul Charms are the things that are the next most complementary to this matchup.
Interestingly enough, this is the matchup where I do want Boros Reckoner.
Oh, really? Okay.
Boros Reckoner is incredible in creature mirrors, which this is.
Sure.
So, you know, it's going to be very hard for Sai to remove Boros Reckoner without getting 2 for 1, for example.
So I know that, like, Boros Reckoner is a great card against Sai. Well, so we're starting up, so let's go back to that. So Sai is on the play here. He has a turn 1 Breeding Pool into a Young Wolf, and so he's set up that initial first blocker that you were talking about that hopefully saves him a bunch of life.
Right, and we'll see, you know, Stormkirk Noble from Aaron. So Sai looks like he's so far being successful at being the defender, which is what I said, you know, we said he wanted to do. That said, it looks like this game he's going to try to be the aggressor in the matchup, which is difficult for him, but certainly possible. He has the draw to do it. He has the rapid hybridization for this Young Wolf to, you know, kind of have his own Burning Tree emissary start, if you will.
Yep. And so the rapid hybridization is going to work very well in this particular situation because it's it's going to get him a blocker. The Young Wolf is going to undie before the rapid hybridization.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. Aaron should, if he knew more about the deck, he probably should have seen this coming. Yeah, he just kind of, his Stromkirk got thrown away here.
Yeah. So what happens here is the rapid hybridization resolves. You get a 3/3. Then the Young Wolf trigger goes on the stack above that, and also the Evolve trigger goes on the stack. So you end up ordering them so that the Young Wolf Undying trigger resolves first, so that you get a 2/2 that triggers the Experiment 1 again, and so the Experiment 1 gets to evolve twice out of that. And so he gets a bigger Young Wolf, he gets a 3/3, he gets to kill the Stromkirk Noble, and the Experiment 1 gets huge out of that.
So Sai has 8 power on the board. I think in this situation he's done a great job of just being the aggro deck.
Yep.
And we've seen, he meant to cast Rancor, not to put Cloudfin Raptor on them both. We'll see him turning everything sideways. And I think this game's obviously going very well for him. He's succeeded in out-aggroing and being the aggro deck. The role comes less naturally to his deck. He needs, kind of a very... He needs a lot more things to come together, which they did come together here. 8 power on turn 2 is really nothing to laugh at.
No, it's ends up being a pretty nutty draw for him. And so now he's reversed in. So we see the Cloudfin Raptor come down post-combat, and then we see another breeding pool, and Aaron looks like he
doesn't have another land
here.
Yeah, he does not. Yeah, he doesn't have a third land, and this is a situation where he does have a Boros Reckoner in his hand. Where when I was saying before, like we were talking about him between the games, this is the situation where I'd really like Boros Reckoner. If you know what I mean, say he had the land, but it'd be excellent here.
It shuts down Sai's non-flying offense. Do you like the no block from Aaron on that turn? Do you think maybe he should have tried to trade off the Flint
I would have
F4?
started trading.
Yeah.
I mean, and that attack is very greedy here. I think what he's planning to do is, he's got so many Searing Spears and removal spells. He just needs to survive, and I'm not sure he can do that. Like, I would have been fine. I would have kept bring Emissary back so that I could trade it with Young Wolf. And okay, that's Celestial Charm with the pump will save him. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that Aaron can actually play around this Celestial Charm there.
Yeah. Well, so if he had traded the turn before, we'd be in a situation where Aaron didn't have any creatures out, but we'd have the Rancor in Sai's hand, and Sai would have a 3/3 and a Cloudfin Raptor.
Well, it wouldn't be in his hand. He would have played it on something.
You think he would have played that instead of the Cloudfin Raptor, or you think that he would have just played it untapped?
Well,
he
definitely
would have
correct
played the breeding pool untapped and played it then.
I mean, there's no reason. Yeah, because he didn't even have a way to evolve Cloudfin Raptor outside of making a knight. I think it's definitely correct to play the Rancor while your opponent doesn't have removal up. Because Aaron's obviously going to hope to snag the Rancor with that Searing Spear.
Right. But so Aaron in that spot is in a much more tenable position, right?
Yeah.
Because he has a removal spell for one of the 2 creatures that are out, and he's at a higher life total, and so he just has the potential of extending the game.
Yeah. So the interesting, each player here is kind of playing a nut draw aggro deck. And both of them, I think, each game obviously have been nut drawn. They're showing a little bit of difficulty in transitioning their deck's role. I think Sai did a little bit better of a job of it in game 1, where Sai realized that he was no longer the aggressor in the matchup. Granted, recognizing your role and playing it to win are 2 different things. He still, obviously, as we saw, Aaron got the first game. Aaron didn't really seem to be able to realize in time that he was actually the defender that second game. Granted, I think once again, even if he had realized it, Sai's opener was very strong, and these nut draw decks are designed to have they're really designed to nut draw on the attack, and you're not as well positioned on the defense. So it may just be the die roll is very important in this matchup. The draws of what your opening 7 are is very important.
That said, though, in the second game, it looked like Aaron had a chance to find a way out of that, whereas in the first game, Sai probably just did not have a chance to stabilize.
Right. I think Aaron does a better. The reason why I was saying why I like cards like Reckoner is I think cards like Reckoner allow Aaron, like I said, allow Aaron to become the defender better if he needs to. As we're seeing that, one of these guys is going to have to play defense, even though their deck doesn't want to do it. And the way Aaron, one of the ways Aaron can do it is just by casting a Boros Reckoner, and then maybe casting a couple Steering Spears, maybe even casting a Gore Clan Rampager.
Yeah. No, I have 4/4.
Sure, that's pretty
matchup.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little, Sai does play unsummons. I don't know if he's kept his unsummons, and I imagine he's traded his unsummons for Nearheath Pilgrims.
That makes sense.
I don't really want unsummon against a red-green aggro deck at all. Sai's going to 6 cards again. It's unfortunate for him. I think we saw him go with 6 cards game 1 as well.
Yeah, and he's on the draw, which is definitely an issue here. So you've definitely, okay, I'm a convert. I want the Boros Reckoners here. So we still want to bring in these Pillar of Flames for Aaron. What do we want to take out in order to fit them in? Do we want to... the Ash Zealots seem good in this matchup, if you know about the Geist of St. Traff, but maybe you don't. But they match up pretty well against the Undying guys. The Hellriders seem okay because they give you reach.
They're fine. They're actually might be a little weaker here.
Okay.
So if you just watch how those games play out, it's all about the first 3 turns. If you notice, we kind of got to see we knew who was winning from very early on.
Yeah.
Hellrider closes out hard to win games. I don't think we really need to do that in this matchup. Sai's on 5 right now, it appears, so that's going to be very different. He's on 6. Debating a 6. Hellrider's actually a card I might consider cutting down on in the matchup. I just don't. I think what you really want to do is become the aggressor. I know I'm harping back on this point, but I'm harping back on this point that each deck's better on the attack and worse on the defense. Hellrider doesn't help your deck be on the attack. Hellrider closes out games you're already winning. But what I'd rather do is secure my role as the aggressive deck in the matchup, and Hellrider doesn't help me do that.
All right. So Sai is contemplating this hand. I saw a Hinterland Harbor in there, an Experiment 1, and a Rapid Hybridization. What are we looking for here? Do we well, okay, so we've kept the 6. And we draw another Experiment 1 for the turn.
Well, yeah,
and it looks like Sai maybe has a awkward mana draw in that he played the Hinterland Harbor first, so he probably has a bunch of comes in of the sort of M10
the buddy lands.
Yeah.
I've heard them called.
So Aaron didn't have a 1-drop, but he has the Ash Zealot on turn 2.
Yep. So, and yeah, it looks like Sai just drew once again. He's played as that shot at tap land. A tapped land into a shock land. 2 experiment ones. Less than ideal.
Yeah. So he's got the Rapid Hybridization. He might be planning on turning one of the Experiment 1s into a Frog Lizard the next turn.
He'd ideally love to draw a Young Wolf.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, obviously, right? But
so Aaron,
I think he may not want to make that play because, and this is going to sound silly, that play doesn't win. That play is loses more slowly, and he'd rather, I'd rather Rapid hybridize this Cloudfin Raptor. Cloudfin Raptor, Experiment 1's better than Cloudfin Raptor in this.
Absolutely.
It's better anyway. Looks like he has 3 Rapid hybridizations.
One of those is Unsummon, and he's got a Geist of St. Traff. So it looks like 2 Rapid hybridizations.
Yeah, and this is rough. Geist, once again, is one of those cards that's really good on the attack, and on the defense, it's really bad. Yeah. It's good on the counterattack as well, though, because it's very hard for decks to, he dishes out damage so fast that you can counter race someone with Geist of St. Traff.
Yep. So Aaron goes ahead and plays a Burning Tree Emissary. He's waiting for it to resolve. He goes ahead and pairs it with Lightning Mauler, has no follow-up, and we're getting in for 6 here. So we expect Sai to
I mean, I kind of expected him to
hybridize that.
Yeah.
The Cloudfin Raptor.
Yep, and that's strong. It gives him a fair amount of blocking power here.
Yeah. So do we trade off the Experiment 1s here?
You have to, I think.
Yeah.
We
don't have any real potential for them to turn into 3/3s.
I mean, you do have potential to do it, but you also have potential to go to 0 life.
Yeah.
Which I know that's I mean, this is good. Look at the board right now. I mean, I'd rather be at 12 life here than have one more creature on each. I want the high life total more than I want really anything else right now. And that hybridization is really forcing Aaron to use his cards in a way that he doesn't want to use them. You know, he's running out of steam. If Sai can get down a Geist of St. Traft here, if he just draws you know, Sun Petal Grove, he's in a pretty good situation.
It's true.
Can he do it?
Right off the top,
called
it.
shot. Well, clear.
So, do we play the Geist of St. Traft here and then?
Absolutely. And Sai recognized it. So now, I said before he had trouble turning the corner, and the corner, this is him turning the corner.
Yeah. So, do you like the attack with the experiment one, or do you want to?
I like the attack with the experiment one.
Okay.
Next turn, I don't like the attack with experiment one. I'd prefer to evolve it off my Angel token. And a 4/4 blocker from Crosett. And I think this is perfect candidate for unsummon.
Yep.
Actually, you know, actually, you know what? I just unsummon it and swing the team. I think that feels...
So by doing that, we get to evolve the experiment one. We get in for a total of 9 points of damage.
You can unsummon it, swing the team, and then post-combat, still in combat, rapid hybridize the Angel token.
Okay.
Which is like the most aggressive play you can make. It's burning all your cards as fast as possible, which is what I want to do. I want to make things really miserable. You know, I want to be this aggro deck right now, and yeah, I think it's very hard for Aaron to. He can throw. Sai has the potential right now to throw damage fast enough that Aaron can't do anything about it.
So here's the unsummon.
So he has the potential to throw 9 damage.
Yep. Putting
Aaron to 9.
So get the Angel, get the evolve, puts Aaron to 9.
Yep.
Then. And here's the rapid hybridization. Yep.
On the Angel token.
And so we have a blocker. If we need it, if we're worried about taking too much damage, and we could potentially play around him, around Aaron, having a second Gore Clan Rampager by blocking.
Yep. And that's exactly what you will do if he attacks. You should block here, even though you know he has the Gore Clan Rampager. Aaron, 6 lands is not what red-green aggro wants to do.
No, not at all.
Actually, it's 7 lands, I think. I think his last 2 cards are both mountains.
Aaron has gone kind of flooded.
Yep. What we'll probably see here is Cloudfin Raptor, followed by a swing and a rapid hybridization on whatever blocks Geist of St. Traft.
So this gets through a guaranteed 4 damage in the air and another 3 damage on the ground and forces some chump blocks.
I mean, this is probably his whole life total. I mean, it's not,
Aaron's
but it's close.
going to 2 from here, and there's going to be a Geist of St. Traft that he's not going to be able to deal with on the board.
Right. And he might even... Well, okay. So he's taking 8, putting him to 1. There's no way to evolve anything here.
It seems like
you might
a pretty reasonable set of blocks in that...
You might even hybridize the Frog Lizard token. Or the Angel post-combat, you know. You might just be okay with things trading here.
And wouldn't you rather have the Geist of St. Traft because your opponent isn't going to be able to create a flying blocker, and so it's essentially
I'm not worried about my next swing being lethal. I'm pretty sure it's lethal no matter what I do. I want to make sure that his next swing isn't lethal, so I would want to maximize my blockers here.
Okay.
You know, we're so far ahead on the board, and Aaron's going to be at 1, right? It's going to be very hard for our next, what's Aaron going to draw to have our next swing not be lethal? Unless his hand's a grip of Searing Spears, in which case, how did that happen? You know, why is this? So I don't actually like this play as much.
Because it gives Aaron an attacker that...
Yeah, it's not that relevant.
Yeah. Does it make sense then to just hold up rapid hybridization for Aaron's turn?
Doesn't.
Does that... I know that
okay, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, and the match is virtually over, and now it is over. But in terms of playing around outs,
probably because the outs would be lots of Gore Clan Rampagers. Yeah, you probably would want to do that in case craziness happens. Just hold it there to fog an attacker.
Yep. All right, so Sai Cook with his interesting take on Bant Evolve. Thanks, Jerry T, for letting us know about that. Sai is